So, beyond the book is this festival to celebrate the culture and all the things that are happening here in Southeast LA. It's more than books, right?
Yeah.
So, could you talk a little bit about your time growing up down here in this area of LA County, and how it might have shaped kind of where your trajectory, kind of your comedy or something like that?
I mean, I feel like, when I started comedy, I started when I was 15. I started with doing a lot of impressions, and I feel like the most recent years, I feel like the past maybe like 8 years, I've really started to talk about growing up in Whittier and my family, my parents. I imitate my mom and my abuelita.
Your mom was very good.
My mom can't get
Yes, yeah.
and I've just started to really embrace it and share more stories, But I think growing up, it just felt really sweet. I felt it's just nice to also to be a little separated from the Hollywood area. I didn't really discover that till later, but I was fortunate to be close to it and know that my dreams were close,
Right.
So I would drive from Whittier to Hollywood to sign up for open mics. And
Did you do Improv Olympic or anything?
I took a bunch of improv classes at Groundlings, UCB. I kind of mixed it up, but I think stand-up was kind of where I was getting the most stage time. So I was kind of signing up at the Comedy Store, Ha Ha Cafe in North Hollywood. I mean, I was there weekly, just trying to get on stage, even if it was at 12:45 a.m. at night. I was just trying. I mean, right after high school, right after I started doing open mics. I was like, I know I'm going to do this. But I feel really proud to be from this area. And I actually have a little memory from, is the theater right here?
Oh yeah, it's right there.
Okay, so I thought first I was going to be a singer, and I was real serious about it. And I did there was a singing competition at this Downey theater right here. And I was singing Mariah, and I cracked, and I messed up a note, and I was so mad after. I was like, I'll never be a singer! And the opera girl won. I mean, she killed it, but I was so, caught up in it. My mom remembers. I was, crying. So I have a little memory from that.
Well, we're better now. We definitely.
No, it was me.
That's a really big space.
It was beautiful. Yeah, the theater was really pretty. But yeah, it just feels really good to be back, and this is such a lovely opportunity to connect with people around my neighborhood, to just share and hopefully inspire to go after your dreams. And yeah, it's so sweet. I love it.
Well, because I want to get to that project then, but really fast, you said that lately, or just in the past few years, you kind of started to incorporate your background a little bit more. So what was the impetus for that? Why?
It just felt like it was, I felt like, I was doing celebrity impressions for a while, and I always will. That's just my ear, naturally. But I think there was a time when I was on the road after I did America's Got Talent. I was immediately headlining across the country, traveling, performing. And there was something kind of, I was doing all these impressions, but I was like, wait, I want to talk about me. There's something in me. I'm like, okay, I get the celebrities, sure. But I was like, but Melissa, there's something here. I could share my family. I could share, make fun of myself and just how weird I am, and do all the silly voices I do around my house. You know what I mean? So I just felt like I want to share. I don't want to just be behind celebrity voices.
Sure.
I like a nice mix, you know. So. I had this bit from my special where I imitate my abuelita and my mom's grandma. I used to imitate. She passed away. She was 105 though.
Whoa.
Yeah, she's a legend.
Wow.
But I'm working on my Spanish because I didn't practice it enough as a kid, and I had this bit that a lot of people relate to, especially in LA. I felt like, I would hang out with her. I didn't know Spanish, but I would just look at nod and smile, and she would just talk about me in Spanish, and ay, mira, Melissa, ay, mira, ay, bonita, chiquita. And she would just stare at me, and I go, yeah, you're bonita too, and then she would, ay, mira, Melissa, está loca, sí. And she would, talking about me in Spanish, and I'm just nodding my head, But it was just like something like that just felt so, I was like, oh, that's my truth. That is true, and it's fun and sweet, and has meaning, and I'm leaning more in that direction. It feels good.
That's cool. Because I feel like stand-up is probably the hardest performance to do because you are totally out there on your own. It's completely.
Yeah.
do you feel like this bringing up these sort of past things or your home, like how you grew up, does that help to like break the loneliness on stage?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where it feels very warm. Whenever I talk about my family on stage, I immediately feel safe. I feel like, oh, this is something so warm to share with the crowd, and it kind of lets them in and feel like family. So that's yeah, it feels really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's your best Southeast LA joke?
Oh, I don't know if I have one. I have to forget one.
You don't have to come with that. It's too much pressure. But you know,
Okay.
if you want to send an email later on, that'd be good. We'll put it on our Instagram. All right, so you grew up in Southeast LA, kind of had eyes on Hollywood, which wasn't too far. So I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I'm not from here. I'm from Chicago originally, and I know it freaks me out that she's going to be a part of that. So I do think the distance kind of helps out. But so it gives you something to strive for. You're on stage. How did you get to Saturday Night Live? Because a lot of people want to know.
I first auditioned when I was 21, and I had like a good maybe 8-9 impressions that I was working on since high school. Okay, those were like Britney Spears, oh baby, you know, Christina Aguilera, you know, doing oh. And I did like Kathy Griffin, I think, and Natalie Portman. I had a good pack of impressions. Oh, all my Natalie Portman is just, wow, this is so amazing. I love reading books. I'm really smart. That's her from Garden State. But I auditioned with those impressions. I had my manager that sent in a reel. Okay. And then also a comedian, Neil Brennan, saw me at the Comedy Store, and he was like, I gotta tell Seth Meyers about you and have you audition. So I had a few people helping me out there, and I went and auditioned when I was 21, came back home to Whittier, and I was like, am I gonna get the show? And then they called me and they were like, come fly back, audition again with different stuff. And that's where I was like, uh-oh. I got nothing else. And so I didn't do that. I didn't feel good that after that audition. I felt, you know, I just also wasn't, and I didn't get the show then, but I was also not even fully formed as an artist. I didn't know who I was. At 21, you're like, I've still got to create who I am. Sure. So I came back, and I felt like those were the learning years of, okay, I got to get an acting class. I got to take improv classes. I got to start just creating my own stuff and living life more, you know. So then I remember 2016 came around, and I was starting to do a little more voiceover work, and stand-up I always kept at it, and I did the showcase that El Madrigal, who's a comedian, he's the best. He had me in a showcase, and producer from SNL was there, and they saw me and they're like, come fly out and audition. And then I auditioned that time, and I did, you know, at that point in my life I was like, yeah, this is who I know a little more of who I am now, and I was proud of what I did. I was like, all I did was what I loved and what I'm proud of, and then I got the show that year, and it was incredible. I felt like I entered a dreamland. I remember my brother picking me up from the airport after I auditioned in New York, and I was there like, is this real? I couldn't believe, because I dreamt of this since I was a little kid, and I got the show, and it just was beautiful. It was amazing, and I still am. I'm just so proud and grateful that I got to experience that show.
It's amazing. Round of applause. What was it like then? So you're moving out to New York. You're in Saturday Night Live. It's a huge institution. How is it to kind of be back and forth, or how much did you spend going back and forth to LA?
I did it quite a bit. I come home often, but that show really starts in October, ends in May. So and then there's breaks in between. So it felt like a school year in a way. That's what I basically kind of explained it to people. You know, I had the whole summer off. But it was full. That schedule was intense. It was Monday through Saturday. Sunday's the only day off to really rest and also come up with another few ideas for the next week. So it was a lot of work, but it was magical. Every time I got on air and got to share something I created, I was just like, I can't believe it. Every time I was just like, this is, wow, I don't know. It's so cool.
Well, that's a great segue. So you're writing your own stuff, which is probably you've done forever, right? Because you're doing stand-up.
I like the music too.
Yeah. There out there. Maybe yeah. If you when we're done, we'll
Excuse me.
I almost was gonna have to close the door, but then
No, I like it. It's sweet.
You guys can still hear us though, right?
Yeah.
All right. So when you're writing your own materials, do you, besides sort of the family stuff, are there? Well, listen, I run a library. Are there any books or any authors or any inspirations like that we have here that you draw on that might be an inspiration for some people out there?
Well, I grew up loving Shel Silverstone. Anyone else? The best! But like that's kind of what my art is similar to, because as a kid I just loved how simple his artwork was, but also how deep it was too at the same time. And I just love that balance, and it made sense to my brain.
Sure.
So the books that had more pictures, the better for me. A lot of reading. I struggled with reading comprehension as a kid too, and I'd read a paragraph over and over, and I still didn't understand what it was about. So pictures were good for me.
Well, talk about that thing. What's your art? What are you doing with that?
I should have brought the book sample. So I know. I actually have a book coming out October 25th. And it's called Whoops, I'm Awesome. It's a compilation of all my drawings throughout the past, I feel like 6 years.
Okay.
Kind of the 6 years I was on the show, but it's 4 chapters filled with activities and my artwork, and for you to interact, and it's kind of a workbook to embrace your silly side of yourself and kind of just get in touch with being a kid, you know. And then 4 chapters on how I get to that silly side of myself when I feel I get too serious as an adult.
Yeah.
So it's like the first chapter is getting in touch with all your childhood things, like nostalgic stuff, just being a kid.
Sure.
And then the second chapter is about exercise and moving and being physical. And then third is like your brain and just filling it with positive thoughts, you know. So it gets dark in there. And then the 4th chapter is being with others, celebrating others, and volunteer work. I always feel better when I do volunteer work. So yeah, those are the 4 chapters, and it's kind of a book. I mean, it's not all corny, you know. It's not all like you're so beautiful, embrace yourself. There's definitely moments where I'm making fun of myself, and some drawings I left a mess in there on purpose because those days I actually felt crappy. I was like, no, put in the book. I didn't like myself that day, you know. So I left mistakes in there.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be a little bit of a mess, but it means well. And I hope people enjoy it. I think it's funny. I think I always loved it growing up as a kid. I always loved art class. I think that was the only A I ever got in school was art. Everything else was D's and C's. I couldn't.
We're verifying with
It's true. I had to take a lot of tutoring I just was so bored. I couldn't pay attention, but art I was so connected with. And I think in high school, you know, going through that emo phase, I was definitely a ska punk kid. I was always doodling on the side of pages like eyes and bloody, you know, hearts. But I always loved that ink drawing pen thing, and so I think when I started going on the road after America's Got Talent, that was kind of my saving grace, because a lot of the stand-up shows, I was bombing. I mean, after America's Got Talent, I'd only done stand-up for a few years.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like I had a half hour or even an hour of stand-up. So it's hard.
Yeah,
I was
you're
bombing.
very lonely inside.
But in hotels, I was just like crying all the time because I felt like it hurt so much when you're not getting laughs, and so I started drawing, and I felt like that was making me feel calm, and I would listen to music, you know, emo music, and all these drawings just started flowing out of me, and I would see little images of like, oh, that would be a good drawing, and that's still what I continue today. And I have an art account, it's called Melissa V Art on Instagram, and that's just for my artwork, and there's now a whole community there that they're just there for my art. And it's so sweet. And I don't have to feel like I need to be funny all the time too. My account, Melissa V Comedy, that is all jokes, you know? And sometimes I'll share my art on there and people will comment like, oh, that's hilarious. You know? my heart is broken. So that's why I made the art account. Like, I don't want those jokes going in and roasting my drawings. So that's why I feel like it's nice to separate, but there's funny drawings too, and I hope and I feel like it feels hopefully like Shell's drawings, you know, where it's comforting, you could relate, and I should have brought examples, I'm sorry, but I have
Instagram, everybody.
I know.
There you go.
Yeah, I feel like there's, you know, I have a little drawing of an egg that's cracked open, and he's like, sure, maybe I'm breaking, but I feel free. You know, so it's just like little things like that. I recently drew a piñata in outer space, and he's broken apart, and all his candy's flying, and the stars are saying to him, "You're safe to break apart out here with us." And so it's just like little things like that. I kind of just love to. And next week I'm doing this art fair, the other art fair in Santa Monica. If you guys like art. A lot of great artists will be there, and I'm gonna have my booth with my original art up there, and that's the theme of my section is called Safe to Break Apart, because all the pieces there, they're all about being okay to just crumble and just being like, here, whatever, here it is, you know. So it just feels really good.
That's awesome.
It feels really good.
Do you feel like you're kind of transitioning into like focusing on that some more, or how? Yeah, what do you think the next trajectory is?
I really think a balance of things, because I do love being funny. Okay, I think that's always going to be number one. But I'm now getting back in the game of auditioning for shows and movies. You know, how cool would it be to be in a Marvel movie? You know? That's the next thing. Watch I get real buff and stuff. Like, oh, Melissa.
I was gonna ask, if you draw and you write, like that's comic book right there. You can write the Marvel movie.
Yeah. But I also just thinking of like, I was telling my mom in the car, like creating my own little show. Because I like to do a variety of things, you know? I mean, like, what if I made a show like the Pee Wee Herman show? Where it's just goofing around, and I could do sketches, I could still do some impressions, and also have guests on and learn new things, you know what I mean?
What if it happened in the library? Maybe visit to the space museum down the street.
I want to go to that.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Not today, because I have to stay here.
Oh, okay.
No,
That sounds fun.
I'm happy to drive you down there if you want.
Sweet, thanks.
So, just before I guess I want to open it up to questions. Just, I know you touched on it already, but a little bit more about the book that you have coming out October 11th?
October 25th.
25th, sorry about that.
Yes.
And I think the library's already ordered some advanced copies, so we're getting ready for it. So you can come and see it. But talk a little bit more about that book. Like, what do you think? Is it geared towards kids? Is it geared towards kids and adults? Is it?
I feel like it's geared toward teenagers and up.
Okay.
I think maybe little kids might be, there's still activities they could do, but I think it might be a little more for teens and up. But all adults for sure.
What are you putting in there that you feel like you wanted as a teenager that you're trying to give to pay it forward?
I think the affirmation zone. I know it could be corny, but I do affirmations for my self-esteem. I think saying things out loud I didn't do early on. I don't think I said it enough, like, oh, I want to be on this show, or I want to. when you say it specifically out loud, there's a lot of power. You're like, I'm gonna be on that show one day, and you don't have to feel you don't have to feel like, oh, I don't want to jinx it, or oh, what will people think of me? No, you're gonna be there. Yeah. Because there was a springtime before I got SNL. I met this actress named Kelly Hawk, and she told me, no, say it out loud. Put your accomplishments on the wall when you walk in your place. You shouldn't be hiding those things.
Sure.
And so then once I started every day saying it and visualizing it, so I have that in the book. And I think that might be really powerful for teenagers to be, you know, like, hey, I have this gift, I want to pursue this. I'm going to start claiming it and saying it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be afraid of it. You don't have to be afraid of big dreams.
That's awesome. And it rallies other people around too.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Library
sweating
TV show. Sorry.
Oh yeah. When I get sweaty, I sweat first on my nose. So.
Do you mind taking some questions?
Yeah.
from
Any
the audience?
questions?
Just shout it out. We don't have a microphone. We're gonna go here first. First right here.
Why pink? What's the next color?
Oh. Okay. I think pink. I got pink hair because I just feel like that's how my inside feels. No, I do feel like my soul is this pink color, specifically this soft pink. I feel like that's my favorite color. Pastel pink is my favorite, and it makes me feel warm and this is the color I actually visualize if I get very nervous to perform or if I'm feeling low, or I try to visualize before I go on stage this pink warm light glowing from me and warming up the crowd. And so that's why I got this color. But I like blue too, but sometimes that makes me a little moody. A little blue. Yes.
Any behind the scenes secrets from SNL?
Any behind what?
Scene secrets from SNL?
Secrets.
Like you would ever show up to a truck before a show? Or...
Oh no, I never did that. Secrets though, after parties. I can tell you about the Kim Kardashian after party. It's just a funny thing. She had, for some reason, her friends and her had some donuts. And I went up to Kim Kardashian and I was like, can I have one of your baby donuts? Because they're little donuts. Not donut holes, actual donuts. And I said, can I have one? And she goes, you can have them all. I was like, really, Kim? I can have like donuts? So the one photo I took with Kim Kardashian, I'm smiling, but I'm holding the donut. It's not like I hid it. I have it, my arm is like this, holding the donut. Like, that's a fun little story. Yeah, I don't know what other fun secrets. I feel like Jason Momoa was my favorite host because he was such a joy. He is pumped. You know, Hawaiian people. What is just like so excited to be there. And Oscar Isaac was also my favorite. He was so talented. Felt like just, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have any juicy gossip. You know, I didn't go out with anyone there. Any celebs.
Pete Davidson didn't tattoo your name. One right there.
Yeah.
First, I was going to say, as a Pico girl,
Yeah.
I know that you got some flack for that
Yeah.
sketch, but I want to say thank you because it was so amazing.
It was awesome.
To see that. You know?
Yeah.
It was great, so thank you for bringing that into that space. That was going to be the Southeast LA show.
I know, and I know people were mixed reviews with that, but truly it was a combination of like, it wasn't about Pico, but I just thought, well, I was trying to come up with a Whittier show, but I couldn't figure a title, and we're like, how about a sneak peek at Pico, kind of sounded like a fun little title. And I also just thought of Pico Rivera because I was like, well, I hung out there a lot in high school. My ex-boyfriend in high school. My boyfriend in high school lived in Pico, and so I just remember hanging out there. And then I would go to the Pico Rivera Sports Arena a lot as a kid. I saw a lot of singers and mariachis and stuff. So I was just like, oh, I'll just do Pico. But that girl, that I was inspired by it. It's exaggerated, of course, you know, but I was at Target on New Year's Eve. This is so funny, but it was sad because it was the day Betty White passed away. And so I'm at Target, I'm in the notebook section looking for a new planner for my New Year goals. And I hear people around Target like, oh no, Betty White just died. Betty White passed away. And then I get bummed out, and then this chick, perfect timing, right next to me, she goes, oh, Betty White died? You don't sound sad. Anyway. And I went home that night, and I just was in bed alone, like, just kept saying it in my and it just like, I started working on it on stage, and then I just thought, well, oh my God, Selena Gomez is hosting, we should play these two gals. And then it just became such a beautiful little piece. And I was just so proud to get that out there. I mean, also, I was like, when has SNL seen these chicks before? I don't think ever. But so I was like, this was so special. And I practiced it with her, and I was like, you know, these girls, this is their show. They get to say when people, you know, can leave. Like, okay, see you later, you know. And they were best friends, and I practiced with Selena Gomez. We were practicing, and I was like, I just want them to be like, you know, back and forth. Like, this is, you know. And it just felt so magical. Really, really cool to finally.
Poor Chad.
I know, poor Chad.
Well, I have a question, and I wanted to know what changed the most for you when you started at SNL and leaving it, and like what from that are you carrying now, like having exited the show, into what comes next for you?
You got a good question. I felt like, you know, I went in being like, I'm going to show all my celebrity impressions. I'm going to be the impressionist. And by last season, my 6th season, I didn't really do a lot of celebrity impressions. I was embracing home. And I shared that Pico Pico, I did this character Cesar. It's based on my Uncle Caesar, who passed away a couple of years ago, my mom's beautiful brother, who was just the best. He was so funny. And I'm sorry. That character was based on him because he would leave messages, long messages, on all his nieces and nephews' phones, and he would be like, Mia, I'm so proud of you. And he would do that, and for like minutes. I'm like, my Uncle Caesar's, he's so proud. And so he was this sweet character, and he was just like, but he loved comedy too. He went to all my first stand-up open mics and shows, and so I felt like I left the show being just more embracing me now and my story, and I think that's what's so cool about it. It really changed for me, and I came out of there being like, wow, I'm excited for other things, but it's cool to see how it changed. And I'm just grown a lot as a person, and hopefully got funnier too. Thank you, thanks for that, that's great. Yes.
I was gonna ask about where the Cesar came from, but you just answered that. What about Carlitos?
Oh, Carlitos, okay, so that photo is my brother Andrew. But my mom has what is Carlitos? Is he your
cousin's son?
Okay, so we have a relative, Carlitos, and he's my age, and they still call him Carlitos. He's not little. But I just remembered that name, and I was like, that was such a cute little name, hearing that as a kid, and I just named my brother Carlitos. But it is a really funny callback in that. There's an update piece, if you don't know what I'm talking about. There's a character I did, and he kept making fun of roasting his nephew Carlitos, and he kept apologizing and felt bad about it. But yeah, so that's where it came from. Yeah.
I have a quick question, because we were talking about you know, sort of bringing your history and bringing Southeast LA into your work and your family members and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you feel, or do you feel any pressure to be representative of? Yeah.
I felt pressure a little bit because, you know, even with Pico Pico when that came out, people were like, how could you do this to us? And I'm just like, I don't know how to, you know, I can't, at that point I was like, you know, I can't represent anyone but me. I really can't. I mean, I try, I hope I'm doing a good job, but at the end of the day, it's just me. I don't know, but I hope me me being on that show was enough for others to
You connected
keep
with.
going. You know, other people need to be on there too.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. Sometimes I feel pressure, but then I'm like, you know, I can't. What can I do? I'm trying my best. You know?
Okay. Maybe all right. These three questions definitely. Let's do it. Right here.
First of all, your journey is beautiful, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah. And did you have people who didn't believe in you? And if you did, how did you respond to that?
Ooh. Mom, who didn't believe in me? Yeah, and people not believing me, and how did I respond to that? Yeah.
Or like, we're supportive of your, you know, your goals and your journey. Or maybe everyone was.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I felt like, I felt like maybe my parents changed. At one point when I was a kid, when I was so adamant, they were like, I don't know about this. You know, at one point my parents were like,
Give it just 10 years.
oh. Is that what, okay.
This is what it's all about. Bring
No,
out the
yeah,
secrets.
but I remember my parents were like, I don't know, it must be some weird hobby. Hopefully she goes to college, you know, and then I think once they started seeing me, you know, perform more, and then America's Got Talent, and more things come into fruition that I really wanted, they were like, oh, this is her job now. This is what she's meant to do. But I felt like, I'm sure I had people not believing in me, but I think I was always good about pushing it aside and just kept going. Almost just like, yeah, okay, I don't like their energy, they're making me anxious, or they're bringing me down. Get out of my way. I think I kind of was always like, no, this is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, but I know that there had to be some. I probably just gave him a good one, you know?
It's good that you can't bring that up. That's good.
Do you have any book signings, like regular book signings that are not like a comedy show? I know you have the book signing tour, but it's like a night show, like where families can go, like at book events. I'm like at the Downey, at the Whittier Library.
I would love to arrange one here, for sure. I would love to.
So we can meet to have like in the daytime.
Yeah, let's do it. I think that'd be great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll flip you something later. There was a question over here.
As a kid, what comedians did you used to love when you were a kid?
Well, I feel like I was first in love with Jim Carrey. I think that was the goof, you know. My dad showed me Ace Ventura as a kid, and I was like, oh. And then I think I just started watching a lot of SNL, and especially the time with Chris Farley and Adam Sandler. I was like, didn't you feel like you were? I guess I did like physical, yeah. I'm not that physical.
On the facial expression.
Yeah, facial for sure.
That's Jim Carrey right there.
Yeah, definitely. But I think those were kind of the beginning people that I really loved and just wanted to be like. Anyone other one?
There was one more over here.
Yeah, I'm a clinician and I work with at-risk youth and teens, and I'm always looking for fresh books, self-help stuff, and authentic work. I'm really happy and interested in finding out, does your book have any clinical evidence-based therapy work, or is that where you came from?
Like I guess there is the chapter of like self-care, mental health stuff. I do have that in there, but I wouldn't say it's clinically proven. I just based it on myself and my journey, so hopefully it helps people. Yeah. I would think I would hope it can help people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come back for the book signing.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.